Morning, guys.
Hi, Dirk. Morning. Morning, everyone.
How you doing, Simon?
All good. And you, Dirk?
Yeah, okay. Always good, eh?
In St. Francis.
Always good. Yep. How you doing?
Good morning, everyone.
Is that the Joburg look, Dill?
I've got a client coming from the UK that I haven't seen for a while, so I thought I'd look alright today.
Good.
Oh, Jesus.
What's that funny, Duma? You got a good laugh, boy. How's the pen?
Morning.
Dirk, all my dates are confirmed, so if you're serious about golf, we must book it. I'm ready for you.
Tell me when. I'll try and get Simon out here as well.
He's already
He's
smiling.
allowed out. Simon's allowed out every now and then. He's got like the Brady bunch at home. So
Yeah, that does
I know
excite me.
he has to submit in triplicate applications.
Yeah, leave's got to be put in from the household like 3 months in advance.
Yeah.
We
When are you coming, Bill?
unfortunately only have a week notice, so I'll send
I'll make it
some
happen.
slots. Lekker.
When are you coming, Dylan?
I'm leaving tomorrow night, and then I'm playing in that Humewood Overs vs Unders tournament this weekend, and then next weekend working in PE. And I've got my 30th birthday the following weekend in PE.
Jeez, you're getting old, eh?
Someone's got to do it.
So when you want to come play here?
Next week, if possible.
Wednesday.
Let me check the diary. I'll confirm with you now.
How's it, everyone? Cindy, Shannon,
Morning.
Marguerite. So much
Morning.
driving. Yes.
Morning. Someone's on a rocket ship this morning.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
Okay, let's give it a couple more minutes. Hi, Marguerite. How's the new position going?
I'm really enjoying it. Thank you, Dirk. Yeah, it's a great team to work with and having fun, but I can't believe we're in the middle of August already.
Yeah, I know it is pretty scary. This year's gone really quickly. How's Bloemfontein?
It's good. Feeling the summer almost. Hoping for it to come earlier this year, but yeah, it's going well.
Good. Yeah, I can see it's warming up there by what you're wearing.
Yeah,
Cape Town's so cold, Cindy. Sorry, Freddie.
No, I've got like
Yeah.
2 layers less. So yeah.
So yeah, 8 degrees here is cold for me. It is a bit, but it also is warming up a bit. You know, it's just got that like tease of summer's around the corner, which is, yeah, changes the mood.
Cool, great. I was actually, Simon, I was actually in P this weekend at my 40th school reunion. So I was there on Thursday and Friday, in Warmer near your office. So obviously Warmer's like the main road's obviously the new Stanley Street. Someone disappeared. Okay. Okay, guys. So I asked Ben very kindly last time to give us a little bit of insight into setting up a Chatgpt, because obviously it's something we've now spent a few sessions on, having had the Saturn demo and spoken about a few things. Is anyone interested? Has anyone reached out to Saturn? Had a chat with Tom? Well, we have. We're trialing it, and yeah, it's quite amazing. But anyway, okay. So yeah, I asked Ben. We know Ben's with Francois Propulsion, and they do a lot of the stuff. So Ben, yeah, over to you. I know you love presenting.
Cool. Thanks, Dirk. Yeah, ChatGPT AI. There's a lot to cover. But I also wanted to be interactive, so I'll just go through some things. But feel free to ask some questions, and we'll go through it together. So let me just share my screen. Cool. So I'll just be very interested, from the beginning. You can just maybe put in the chat. Let's say, have you ever heard of custom GPT? So if you've never heard of them, you can press 1. If you've heard of them but you've never tried, then 2. If you've used them but you haven't built one, 3. And if you've built your own GPT, you can press 4. I'll just be very interested just to see how people are, how people have interacted with GPTs. Have you used them? Now I'm gonna have to quickly stop sharing because I can't see the chat. Oh, there we go. Cool. So a couple of 1s, couple of 3s. Okay. Oh, lots of 1s. There's a 4. Oh, Cindy. So you'll have to give us some advice while we go through this. You built your own one. Okay, awesome. So it's a nice mix. So guys, yeah, as I say, if some of you have had some experience with this, feel free to also ask questions or some pointers as well, so we can all learn from each other. Cool. So with custom GPTs, we think there is a little bit of a learning flow. Obviously, prompting is the most important thing when it comes to anything with AI, because what you get out is what you put in is what you get out. But I think that's kind of with every tool, right? Some people might say, asset map is useless. It's because they haven't used it maybe correctly, or IWP is useless, and it's because they haven't learned how to use it correctly. So it's all about, you got to learn how to prompt. So that's a very important thing, is prompting. And I'll just give a bit more example of that a little bit later. Then it's picking your tools. So is it, there's Claude, there's Gemini, there's Copilot, there's GPT, there's all these different tools. So picking the tool that you are comfortable with. And then we'll say, creating a custom GPT is kind of the next on the list. With regards to picking tools, I use ChatGPT extensively, and that is just because it's more like a Swiss Army knife. If you've got to pay for one, pay for that one. They say like Gemini is better at writing and this and that, but with ChatGPT, it's so good. It's so many different things that it's the most. So if you can only pay for one, I would suggest ChatGPT. So obviously the big question is, why would you want to build your own GPT? Why don't you just go and prompt and do a new chat each time you open? And the beauty of having your own GPT is that you don't have to go and recreate it from scratch every single time. So you build out the prompt once, so you don't have to keep reprompting. And this is especially helpful if you're doing the same thing over and over again. So let's say, for example, you just, uploading meeting notes, for example, and you want to create minutes. You don't want to each time say, this is, meeting notes, I want it in this structure, it needs to have an intro, it must have an outro, it must have this, and you don't want to have to keep doing that. So if you do it once in a GPT, then that prompt is saved there. The other great thing about having your own one is that it's bespoke to you. So, the way that you present your minute notes to your clients might be very different to the person next to you. So you can create the outputs however you want, or record advice however you want to do it. And again, because you've got the prompt and everything the same structure, you're going to get the same output each time. So, which is obviously great in a practice where you're giving all your clients the same sort of minute notes, FNAs, whatever. You want them all to be the same. The other great thing is you can also share it with your team. So maybe, let's say, for example, Dirk is an amazing prompter. You know, he can build these great prompts. You know, so he will create the GPT, and then he could share it with his team, and all his team can use that GPT. So they don't have to go and then create another one or try and prompt themselves. So again, in a team aspect, it's really great to keep that consistency. And you can also build your own team. So with that, you know, you could build a GPT that's your marketing guru. You could build a GPT that's your finance guru, and all of those things. So you can actually build a team around you. So yeah, I'm just going to have a look at a few examples. I think this is the best way to kind of see how GPTs can be used. So we'll first look at some other stuff, and then I'll look at some financial planning specific. So let's have a look at this Excel formula generator. So this is a GPT that is found in Chatgpt, and this is obviously all around Excel. So you might not be an Excel guru, but you can have an Excel guru here that'll help you. So let's just take, for example, something easy to start off with. Let's just say I have, or let's just say, how do I add up all the numbers in column, in column B. Okay, so even my rubbish spelling, it'll understand what it's saying. Okay, this was working yesterday when I tried it, and now it stopped working. See, that's the thing of live. It worked last night, and now all of a sudden it stops. I see there's a hand up there, Shannon.
Yeah, Ben, for the totally uninitiated when it comes to GPTs, etc., how do you go about finding all these different GPTs, like this Excel formula generator, for example?
So, so if you're in, so you can see my screen, you're in ChatGPT. If you see over here on the left-hand side, it says GPTs. And then this is almost like a shop, if you want to call it, of GPTs. It's got all the listings here. So I'm going to now try to say Excel formula, because now this one didn't work. I want to find another one. So I'm going to just type in. And this will give me a list of a whole bunch of Excel formula GPTs. So it is a little bit difficult, because you can see, I mean, you don't hardly know which one to choose. I mean, this one's got 1,000 sort of people using it. This has got 10,000, 10,000, 10. You know, so I think, okay, maybe this one will be a bit better. So I can just click on it. So that tells you a little bit about it. And then if you want to start using it, you can click here and say start chat. Okay, so let's try.
Sorry, Ben,
one.
just another question.
Yeah.
When you're developing personal GPT, how do you differentiate if you've got one that you use for business purposes and one that you use for personal purposes?
Okay, cool. So I'll show you a little bit. Let me just show you how these ones work, or what you can do with GPTs, and then towards the end I'll show you how to build your own one, and then we can just remind me of that again. Then we'll go through it there. Perfect.
Thank you.
So how do I add up all the numbers in column C? No, the other thing is ChatGPT just did a major update recently, so it's now on GPT-5. So a lot of these were probably built on GPT-4, so 5 has now messed things up a little bit, but I'm sure we'll probably still get the right answer. So now, as you can see, it's given you a great way, or the formula on how to do it. You know, then you can get into things more complex. So say, for example, you wanted to, you know, you want to, if a negative number, if you have a negative number, how do you make it go red? You know, and it could tell you that if the number is negative, can you make the cell red? So the great thing about this is that you don't have to be an Excel guru because you have one right here, and this will answer any of your questions around Excel. So, I mean, I'm obviously just asking it very simple things, but if you wanted to build out more complex formulas, or especially like now when it comes to like, you know, simple interest or compounding interest, or you've got to like take averages. I've used this before. Excuse me. I've used this before when I was looking at portfolios, for example. I needed to build up you know, you want to get the percentage of someone's portfolio. You know, they have 3 or 4 funds, and you want to see what is the return on those funds, and then work it into a percentage to get like your portfolio average, for example. Then you can put that all into this, and this will help you to create that formula in Excel. Okay, so that's an Excel one. Another great one is Canva. So I mean, you can do sort of anything in Canva there, you know, and it'll come and design it for you. So let's say I just wrote something down here. Let me just copy here. Okay, so let me just say create a professional, a modern flyer, or a social media post for a financial planning business, hosting the free webinar titled "The Best Investment Ever." It's on the 30th of August. You know, you just give it some instructions. This is the date and time, and I can click. I'm going to say confirm. Now this is going to design. I mean, obviously, like I said about, you know, it's all about your prompt. So you could go in and have a bigger, much better prompt and talk about your brand colors. You could talk about the font that you use. You could add this in there and make it a lot more detailed. But I mean, just off the bat, I mean, this has created a design for you. And let's say, for example, you like this one, you can actually click on it, and it'll now take you into Canva, and you can edit anything that you wanted to just move around, or you know, you wanted to change this, or you wanted to add your logo somewhere, you know, you can then. So now it's already doing a bit of design work for you. So can you see like that the GPT is focused on Canva, so everything that you do will then be Canva based. I'm just going to go into this one, which I think you might find quite interesting, especially with people like Russell. You know, there's a personal. See, I got you looking up from your phone now, Russell. You know, there's a personal trainer. So this is a personal trainer GPT. So this is all helping you with your training. Now I'm actually going to just open this twice. I just want to duplicate this tab, because I want to just demonstrate to you the power of a prompt. So I'm just going to take a simple prompt for this one. So this is the same GPT. Can you see this is a personal trainer GPT, and again it's got the personal trainer GPT over here. So in this one, I'm just going to say create a workout plan for a 25-year-old male. So it's just a very generic sort of prompt. Okay. So that'll start working there. But now on this other one here, you know, maybe I'm a little bit more, I know a little bit more what I want, but I'm going to put a much more in-depth prompt. And so maybe Russell might say something like, you're a certified strength coaching. I want a safe, progressive 12-week program. I'm 32. I'm starting out my gym journey. My primary goal There's build muscle. I'm a beginner. I've got a personal gym. This is the schedule of the split. So you can see how much detail is into this one. So the exercise selection, prioritize big compound patterns, squats, push, pull, carry. So guys that are in the gym will know what this all means. So the nutrition, meal prep requirements, the calories. So you can see how much detail this prompt is. So let's just run that, and we'll see what the difference is between the two outputs are.
Do you often use ChatGPT to build your prompts?
No, normally I will build my prompts myself, but just for this, for like this demonstration, because as you can see from my physique, how much of a bodybuilder I am, I didn't know what all the different things were. So I just asked ChatGPT in this instance to build out this prompt, because I didn't know much about bodybuilding. But generally I will create the prompt myself. Okay, so this is the first one where it's just a very generic create a workout plan. So this is just come up with the 8-week plan. It says pick A or B. It says do a back squat, full body B, there you go. There's some cardio. It's just a little bit of instruction on how to run it. Okay, let's just see how our other one is coming along. Okay, it's still busy building there. Okay, so you can see it has done quite a good job. It's built out a plan. That's exactly what we asked it for. We didn't tell it for how many weeks or what we were trying to achieve. So just on our prompt, create a workout plan, it has created a workout plan. So we can't say it hasn't done what we asked it. And it's done a 3-day one or a 4-day. And then they got a bit of cardio and how to run the plan. Cool. And then this one, still taking its time. Okay, so while that's busy still loading there, let me just move this out the way. Let me just show you another one. So I'm just saying, Russell said that he's done this and asked GPT to create a meal plan and training schedule for him. So Russell, did you put in a lot of details, or did you just did you use a GPT, or did you just ask chat in the normal chat? Did you use a GPT, or did you just ask it randomly?
Yeah, so I actually, and also what I'll just mention, what Ben said as well, is you definitely need the paid version. It makes a bigger impact than using the free version. And then just in general, so firstly with the bodybuilding or the exercise one, I found that I did put in quite a lot of detail. I actually asked it to analyze my current existing like training regime, meal plan, and then I even uploaded my weight and measurements and my like current photos of my current like physique of like what I look like and like what I want to like ideally strive for. And then also what I find in general, just using that as example, if you visually can also explain or give as much detail to ChatGPT of what outcome you want in, it'll help it so much more in terms of tailoring towards it. So not to go too OCD on it, but like, yeah, the more detail, the better. You gotta kind of like see it as if you're talking to like a human, actual individual person, say, look, I want to do X, Y, Z, and it's trying to diagnose your whole situation,
Dylan, I see
and then
you
they get
hand
quite
up
an
there.
accurate result. Yeah.
Maybe just supporting Russell there. I've had a bit of a I actually did this as well just to build a health bot. That's the only GPT I've built this year because I've been struggling a lot with stress and sleep and a few other things, and it affected my body a lot. And I ended up actually uploading blood results from last year and this year, in conjunction to what Russell did as well. So basically the same thing. And then I also send it like daily voice notes throughout the day with meals that I've eaten, and then it does like a live tracking of calories and macros. And it's quite interesting. I was able to drop my cortisol by like 57%. I reduced my cholesterol by 27%. I had really good outcomes from it. But yeah, it takes a bit of work. It can't do everything for you.
Shannon, I see your question there was how do you verify the result? So now, there's two things that I want to talk about. Is if you're just talking to the ChatGPT directly, it's a little bit harder to verify, but it does also give you some sources. But also if you're in a GPT itself, for example, this GPT that we're in for this personal trainer one, the information it's coming from is the only information it's using is I think it's a US based thing, and I'll show you that as well. So you can in your GPT you can tell it to only look at this information to come up with your results, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just that my experience with the little bit that I've played around with GPT is that quite often I find errors in the output that it's providing. And it's a big concern, that one takes the output as being gospel and 100% correct. It might as a whole be correct, but I find flaws within it.
So I think as well, it might also come down, I don't want to say it's, so yes, you are right, it does sometimes, but then also with your prompting, then we can then go, and, like I'll show you now with another one where I struggled a bit and then how I corrected it. But let's just have a look at, so like this one now with this one, I mean, we said we wanted a 12-week program for a beginner. Now you see that it's got the session, there's it's got a map block, mobility, activation, and prehab. It's got a cool down, how to do it. This is what it looks like. This is how your 12 weeks will be done. There's a lot more details. Your exercise coaching, how to do it, what you should be looking at. This is more the kind of a program that Russell uses on the daily. So so again, how to progress, what will be good to, what safety, have a training log, what to look at. There's nutrition and meal prep. So again, the more detail you've put in, the more detail now it's come out with at the end. So like there's day one, breakfast.
Ben, can I just ask, in your opinion, because I know you guys work with planners and you run courses and stuff, from a financial planning viewpoint, what is the simplest way for someone to utilize this to start? Because obviously, I mean, it's quite daunting. I mean, this thing can do everything, but because it can do everything, it's like, where do I start? So what would you recommend that someone starts with, where it can be the most effective, and then grow from there?
Cool. So I just wanted to show you those examples just so you could see what is there. Okay. But if you want to get to some specific financial planning things, so I created here like an SOP creator. Because often, especially when you got new staff or you need to hand over work, you're the only one who knows how to sort of do it, or you need to explain to someone how to do something, it can become very, it's hard to explain to them or have it written down. You're not going to write step by step. So what's cool about this one is that you could have a quick Zoom meeting with somebody or Teams now, and you can record it and it creates the transcript. So you could say, Dirk, this is how you do, or Dan, this is how you do the newsletter. You first got to click here, you got to click there. This is the way you do that. And then you take that transcript. So I'm going to show you like this. Add a photo, add a file. And I just want to go to my So I'm going to just go to, so this is a dummy Zoom transcript of something that I've explained to somebody, and I just let that run. And this will create an SOP document for you and your firm.
Sorry, what's the SOP, Ben?
SOP is a standing operating procedure.
Okay, thanks. So Ben, if I got the new premiums and problems is out. So if I wanted to create my own, let's say, paraplanner or whatever, financial planner within, would it work if I basically took kind of like all the textbooks and downloaded them into my planner? Would it then kind of retain all that knowledge and be able to, if I threw a scenario at it, be able to give advice based on what the inputs there?
Yeah. So the only thing with books and things, you got to be careful just about the copyright, because obviously it's their information. So obviously don't share it around, but you can use it exactly like, and I'll show you how to do that to just now. So basically all this what this has done now is this has taken exactly a transcript of a Zoom meeting. I think I was actually just explaining the onboarding process, for example. And it's created a whole step-by-step process. So it's come up with a purpose, provide a clear, repeatable process to move a new, or you can call it new inquiry, through to becoming officially onboarded. So who's involved, the financial planner, the administrator, the operations manager, whoever is involved, and how does it work? And it just goes through that. But I mean, that's obviously, this is just a simple one, but I mean, if you got lots of things in your business you want to document and have it written down so you can train staff, it's there. This is a very quick and easy way to get it all written down. And this one I think is quite cool. So this is I created this little PPS product guide. So what I've done here is very similar to what you were asking, Dirk, is I've uploaded all the technical guides for PPS in here. Okay, so now let's say, for example, I can ask it any question that I want. I mean, I can start off something like simple, like who qualifies for PPS, and then it'll come back with an answer.
Ben, sorry, just while it's downloading or spinning back an answer. So did you get like the digital technical guides from each product provider or from PPS with their permission, and ask if you can upload it onto Chatgpt to do that?
So this one is just PPS's technical guide. I haven't gone through every single ones, but you could potentially go through everybody's technical guide.
Okay.
Ben, just on that, in terms of the format that you're uploading these documents and the GPT understanding where the data is and all, I tried an exercise where I took various fund fact sheets to check top 10 correlation across some funds. And where the GPT struggled is different terminology used from one document to the other. And I had to continually go through and reprompt to finally get to an end result. And, at the end of the day, I probably could have done it easier by myself if I just built an Excel spreadsheet. So these are the kind of challenges I'm facing in terms of getting to an end result and verifying the validity of the end result.
So I had a problem with this. So like this exact one here, I had an issue because so this just gave us the answer exactly, who's eligible. You have to have a qualification, you have to live in South Africa or be living in a student, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So that's all the stuff there. But now this is where you can make it quite cool, is now I can take a policy schedule now. Okay, so I have redacted all the personal information on the policy schedule. So now I've just got the policy schedule here. And I'm going to ask it a question based on this policy schedule. So I'm going to say, if I was booked, because this is a very complicated thing to get right. If I was booked off sick for 14 days, but in hospital for, say, 5 days, how much would I get paid out? So now remember, this is our actual PPS policy schedule, right? So all I'm doing is just asking, if I was booked off for 14 days and in the hospital for 5 days, how much would I get paid out? And the reason why I had problems with this one originally was because it would start, it has a 7-day waiting period, but with PPS, as you know, it has backdates from day one. So I kept skipping the first 7 days. So that's why I had to keep going back into the back end or the prompt and checking that it read through all the documents carefully to make sure that it's read about any of these things, because it took a while. So yes, you might not get a perfect answer straight away, but this is why, as I'll get to later, testing is quite important, because then it'll help you to refine your prompts, and then as you refine it, you get better answers.
Yeah, so in this case, you were able to do that because you kind of had an understanding of what the end result should be.
Yes.
So you knew the answer that it was giving you was incorrect, so you had to go back and reinterrogate. And that's kind of what the problem I have, is that people just are trusting the end result as being gospel and correct.
Yeah. So that's a good point. So it still does make mistakes, and that's why you gotta understand and know. I don't think it's gonna replace the financial planning overnight, or or planner or technical. You still need to know a bit of what's going on. I don't think you can trust it completely blindly, but that's why a lot of people now, with these people are saying they're building apps. They're building all these apps, with no code. They don't have a clue what's going on. But what turns out is there's a lot of people, the technical guys are actually coming now behind them to actually fix all of their things, because it doesn't really work, or there's, when something does come up, the app doesn't work. So it's not quite as, as social media makes it out to be. They sort of say, well, you can design your own website and create your own app without anything. I don't think it's quite there yet. Okay, so then again, so now it's going to look at the policy schedule. So it tells you how much is your sickness benefit. It's got a waiting period, and it's got the admission rider benefit there. So then it tells you with the 7-day rule, because now I made sure it goes to double check this. It goes and pays back from day one. So now it goes and calculates everything, and it shows you the breakdown of how it's worked out. So it can say, this is what your payout could be. This is based on your PPS policy schedule. So you could also ask it questions around cancer claims, things like that. So this is where it can become very helpful in understanding people's, especially if you don't do a lot of risk business, into understanding the benefits. So this will give you a very good breakdown there. Then this is another very interesting, because I know a lot of people are using AI note takers. You got your Fireflies, you got your Fathoms, you got whatever you use, but often that just takes a meeting note as it is, right? But as financial planners, we also need to know what's happening in our clients' lives. We need a summary, maybe, of who their kids are, what's happening with what work did their parents do. So you got to have a deeper understanding. So this GPT will take a transcript of a meeting and then pull out that client bio. And so again, you can make it to pull out the information that you're looking for. But again, so I've just used a client transcript. And all I'm doing is I'm uploading just the transcript, and it knows what it is that I wanted to do because I've prompted it in the back end. So now it's going to read through the transcript of a meeting again. So
Ben, do you put in the transcript or the actual recording? Because obviously the recording would pick up tone and things like that as well.
Yeah, so at the moment it can't understand audio, so you can only upload the transcripts. So for example, here's a bio of this transcript. We've got Sarah and James, and they're the parents of Emily and Josh. Emily turned 12 last month, starting high school. Sarah's mum has had some health issues. Where they're currently working, what's their hobbies, their travel plans, some of their personal interests. So now, if you just had this only, and you put that into your client file, somebody else could come along, or your team can come along and know exactly who the client is. Because I think, if you're looking at a transcript of a meeting, doesn't necessarily have this kind of background information. So again, this is just a very simple way to give your team sort of clarity around who the client is and some background information. That would be great, to add into your CRM. Okay, so that's a kind of a demonstration of how sort of GPTs work. But obviously, the big question is how do you make your own GPT? So I think let's go into that. So if you come in, so the first thing is you need to have the paid version of Chatgpt, because you can use GPTs on the free version, but you can't create your own one on the free one. So you have to have a paid version of ChatGPT. And then remember, if you're gonna just talk to GPT, or you're just gonna to the ChatGPT, you're just gonna say it, you're gonna type it here and ask a question and it comes back. But if you want to create a specific GPT, you're gonna come over here to GPTs. And this is where all the other kind of shops are. And then you can go over here. Those are your ones that you've created. And then you're going to see over here, which is create. Then you're going to click on create GPT. Then it's over here, you're going to just give it your name. I don't know. Let's call this something. I don't know. Note taker. I'm just giving an example. Oops. You can put a description, but this is here in the instructions part. This is where you're going to put the deep instructions. And so you're going to put the structure, so you can say something like, I want the note taker to put it out like this. I want to have family background. I want to have this. Maybe in your meetings you have specific questions that you ask. Then you might want to say, listen out for these questions. I want to know the answer. And you could put that in here into these instructions. Then coming back to your question, Shannon, right over here, you see the knowledge, you see the section here where it says knowledge. And then you can upload a file here. So then you can click here, files to upload. So then if you, that's where I put my, say, the PPS policy schedule. Not policy schedule, sorry, the technical guide. I would upload that. So then in the instruction, I would say here, only use the policy schedule for your knowledge, and I'd untick the web and this image creation, because I don't want it to go searching on the web. I want it to only use this knowledge in the GPT. So this is what makes the GPT a bit more succinct than ChatGPT in general, because you're using it, like you said, Dirk, earlier. You could upload, for example, premiums and problems and ask it here, only use the premiums and problems to answer this question, and then you'd upload the premiums and problems there. And that's, instead of using the web or using anything else that it knows about financial planning, it's only going to use that that knowledge that you upload here into the knowledge base.
So for instance, if I wanted to create a GPT that would prepare kind of a investment strategy for a client, and I believe, for instance, in passives, would I load that in there? Where would I type? Would I create my own document and say this is my investment belief, and these are the principles that I want to follow in the business, and then, or would I put that in instructions?
You could probably put that around the instructions, because you're going to say this is how I want it to work. So I could still then go and look on the web, and you could say, for example, maybe only in South Africa, look at all the passive funds I'm saying in South Africa, but I want to focus only on passives. I wanted to, for example, have a mix of, must be regulation 28. You could even put that in the instructions, and then they could go and build that out, for you with that example.
Okay, and then, so like I'm a Nick Murray fan. If I wanted to create reports that speak a language like that, would I need to scan pages and enter them here, or would I need to enter the detail, or would I need to get an online version of a book? How would I do that? I mean, what can this thing read? Can it read pictures? Because I know the reason I'm asking, because I know, for instance, with Saturn, when it comes to policy schedules, you can actually download a PDF, and it actually reads that and extracts all the information. I've got no idea how it does it, but it does that. Would this do something similar to that?
So I think the thing is, remember when you're setting it up, you can get ChatGPT in general to read an image and get it into text. But when you're creating your own GPT, I'll do that maybe as a prep work and then upload it here. So for example, if you wanted it to do the report in a specific language, for example, what I would do up here is upload a file and have that as we call it like a tone of voice, kind of thing. So in there you'd say, I want it to write like this. This is what it should sound like. I want it to be structured this way. And then in your instructions, you can say, I would want it to imitate my tone of voice. So we created a tone of voice guide, like for our LinkedIn, for example. So every time a LinkedIn post goes out, it'll sound like that. Certain words are omitted, maybe, those kind of things. So we can definitely create your tone of voice for the report.
Dirk, maybe just going back to your question, I use it often to interpret pictures and stuff, but it's good at reading the text. But if there's a picture of a rhino, it might say it's a hippo. It doesn't really interpret pictures extremely well always. Depends.
Okay, so how do you enter the pictures? So let's say I read an article and it's like it speaks to me, and I want my GPT to kind of have that knowledge. Can I just take a picture of that page and then download it, or do I save it as a PDF? Or
I usually just screenshot it on my phone and put it into the chat that I'm having with the GPT, and then ask it a question about it. It can be that easy.
Oh, so it's amazing, huh?
So I just think we don't get confused between sort of ChatGPT in general and your GPT, because I think so with ChatGPT in general, you can do all these things. So like I was testing last night the agent mode. I took a photo of lasagna, okay, and I put that into ChatGPT, and I said, get all the ingredients for this meal and add it to my Checkers 6060 basket. It went and decided that it figured out that it was lasagna. It went and found a recipe for lasagna. Then it went and logged into it took me to the 6060 page. I had to log in, and then it went and it selected all the different items that it needed for the recipe. So I should have prompted a little bit better, because I just said get the ingredients. But now it went and got every, it got flour, it got every sort of, all the butter and all the extra bits and pieces. So it came to like 1,000 Rand in my basket. But it was quite interesting to show that it went and selected every single item that I needed. I mean, first of all, it knew that it was lasagna. It went and found a recipe, then went and added all of those items to my Checkers 66 basket, and all I had to do was check out at the end, and then I would have got the delivery for lasagna. So I mean, what it can do is absolutely amazing.
So if you just keep on adding, if you keep on adding your stuff that so let's talk again in financial planning. If I keep on adding articles that resonate with me or whatever like that. It will slowly be building that that persona. That's who it becomes.
Yeah, so remembers now, ChatGPT remembers your history. So so as I'm talking to it, it remembers things. So I will talk to it, like we just had our propulsion tech event, for example. And I'll be doing things around that. And obviously I could say it's for the tech event and it'll remember something else that I did for that, and it'll bring it into that, the chat. It remembers. So that's why it's also important now, because now I use ChatGPT, for me and for work. But then my wife is studying as well, so then I also use ChatGPT for her. So what I'll do then is I will say to ChatGPT, this is for my wife. She needs to do this, this, and this, because then it knows it's not me. And then it starts to, otherwise it now thinks like I'm half a doctor and half a half a financial planner. It's going to be like, what is this like? So I'm very specific then when I say this is for my wife. And Shannon, maybe coming to your question, I could say like, this is, my hobby that I'm working on. So then it'll start to build this history, and it does get to know you, it does get to know you, Dirk, around how you want to answer. So also like in your chats, let me just go back to, so you got GPTs, which are specific things. Well, I just want to also just show you. So let me just cancel this quickly.
Then you should perhaps show them, because the big mistake I made with the GPT at the start was every time I wanted to use it, I clicked on the GPT and then it starts a new chat. And the issue with that is it doesn't remember what you said in the last chat. So you must actually go to the last chat you've had with the GPT you've created in order to continue using previous information.
So it does depend how you're using it. So like with client buyers, for example, I would then create a new chat each time, because I would, it's a new client. But if you want having a conversation, because it will remember, so for example, it just depends how you want to use it, or you want to follow on the conversation. But all your conversations are over here. But for example, I've created a chat. So, you can rename your chats, okay? Like you just click in your name. So I've got a chat here called work email. Every single email that I want to maybe just get, I'll not say every single email I reply to, but every email I just need a bit of thingy. I'll just talk about it in here, and it will spit out the thing. So I use this chat just for my emails. And so now it also knows my tone, because we've had a bit of back and forth, so then it'll say, is that too harsh? Should I make it a bit simple? So again, I just use my chats over here very, very specifically. Our events newsletter, again, is a separate one. So I can just say, this week I need to change this week I need to change that. I use our editing program is DaVinci Resolve. So I use this just to ask it questions when I get stuck on something, or how do I change something? How do I do it? Our note-taking thing, our task management is Asana. So I have another one for Asana. And then if I get stuck on something, I just ask it, and it'll give me answers. I use ChatGPT more than I Google stuff these days. Shannon, I see you got a question there.
Yeah, just going back to when you create a GPT and those instructions, I assume those are basically the prompts to get to the outcome. Once it's created, can you go back and re-edit that to refine those prompts?
Yep, definitely. So let's go into, that's a great question. So let me just show you. So let me go here. So I can say chat GPTs. So if you click here on my GPTs, and let me go to, I was going to show you this PPS one. Look, PPS. So now I can just click here and see edit. So this is my instructions here. So you're a friendly assistant, okay? So there's a product guide that's loaded up there, and you can see it's quite a very detailed prompt. And the reason why it gets a little bit longer was because of I was having issues when I was testing it around the sickness pay, because it wasn't calculating. So I had to keep going back and trying to get there, but now I've worked it out that check for reactive payments, and then I got back in there and got there. So you can edit this. I could take something and add it in there, and I'll just click here over there and say update. and then it'll update it. So that's how you go back and you can test those things. Cindy?
I'm thinking Shannon might have a follow-on question from this. It might, if it is, Shannon, do you want to go first?
Right.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask you, thanks. When you showed the column on the left where it tracks all of your different conversations, your one that you have for emails, etc.,
Yes,
etc., are those just normal chats, or have you actually built GPTs? And what I'm trying to understand is, does the GPT link your conversation there under those chats on the left column?
Yeah, so these ones
I don't think so.
These ones here are normal chats,
Okay.
but then over here are my GPTs here. Okay. But this, for example, this chat there though is the chat from the GPT, because this was the client. Because you can see here in the top left it says client bio, so that's the GPT chat. So PPS qualification criteria that came from the PPS product guru GPT that I created, if that makes sense. So
Okay,
you
cool.
can
Thanks.
you can reference them as well. You can say, you can, yeah, like it's a bit more complicated, but you can get your GPTs to talk to each other. So I mean, technically I probably should have created a GPT for like my emails or whatever, but I just found it easy. I just started working it that way and I just carried on. Yeah, Shannon?
You made a comment earlier on that you find you're going to the GPTs for reference more than you're going to Google. Why is that? Is Google not accessing a broader spectrum of information?
Yeah, so again, yeah, so not the GPTs, I'm using like just use Chatgpt, not the actual GPT, but I'm just saying, for example, it's so much easier if I'm using, like I say, our editing program is DaVinci Resolve. Okay, now it's so much easier for me to quickly just type in here. I actually just had a conversation with it, like here, I was showing you. I've made an edit. I want to select everything to the right of the playhead and then move it down. Then it gave me all these instructions on what to do. So I had a look. I was like, okay, cool. And then I said, oh, but I pressed G and it didn't work. So now what? Then it came back. Oh, I got it. Okay, sorry. It came back with another reply. Now, if I went to Google and I typed in, how do I select everything to the right of the playhead in DaVinci Resolve, it'll be like 4 YouTube channels that are not relevant. It'll give me some, so I just find this a lot easier to reference. I don't know what other people's experiences are, but I've started using ChatGPT a lot more to find out information. The only time I really use Google now is like booking something. So like if I'm booking flights or booking accommodation, then I'll use it. But if I got a query, I'll use ChatGPT. Is there any other sort of questions? Just had a few more things I just wanted to just highlight quickly. Of course, I've just gone through those and we looked at that. But yeah, I just want to just touch on a few sort of best practices. Is obviously security and data, right, is very important. So, I mean, even like that policy schedule that I uploaded, I redacted the ID number, I redacted the date of birth, anything that could be identifying. So it just has a name there, or it didn't even have a name, I think. That's why I just said, it says this. Because that's actually, remember, would your clients be happy if you were uploading their stuff into the internet or into ChatGPT? But second of all, it is actually, if you don't have their permission, it is a breach of POPI, because these servers are, especially for ChatGPT, are in America. So the POPI says it has to have secure services and those kind of things. So EU would be a better place to have a server, because they got tighter controls than POPI. In America, there are no data control sort of rules, and the government has access to everything. So just be very careful with that. You don't want to be uploading policy schedules with ID numbers or identifiable, features, email addresses, and those kind of things. So just, and it might be worth just updating your consent letter as well, just to sort of say, because the POPI just says you have to have their permission. So you might just want to say you use things like, ChatGPT, can put a thing in there. Again, with your prompting, you got to be very clear. You can give examples of how you wanted your output to be structured, and structure it in that way. Obviously, test it thoroughly. Like as Shannon was saying, it might not be accurate, but you want to test it and make sure that it comes back accurate. And then obviously stuff keeps getting up to date. And like I said, now the GPT-5 was just released, and that's messed up a few things. It's very different to how 4 was. You got to be more. You got to be better at prompting for 5. We found. Yeah, and then just some pitfalls is your instructions might be too broad. You're not very specific. You haven't done enough testing. Or maybe the data that you've uploaded, the PDF that you uploaded for, maybe the PPS product guide was just a 1-pager on life, for example. Now I'm asking it about sickness benefit, so just check your knowledge bank, and just always double check your security. And just a little plug is that we are looking at having a community. If you are enjoying AI and these kind of things, we're going to be launching a community soon. Where it's basically people can say what kind of things they are building, what have they built, what are the problems they found, things like record of advice or replacement records, how have they built it, what have they built, so it's a discussion of financial advisors on how they've built with AI, what they're building, how to overcome a few certain things. So if you would like to be more involved with that, there is a wait list, and we'll be launching that soon. But I don't know if you've got any other questions.
I'm sure it's an absolute minefield. I think just a comment. It's kind of overwhelming in a way, because we want to keep things simple, but you can go down an absolute rabbit hole here. So for me, so the Saturn thing is great for me because they kind of do everything. I tell them what they want, and they're going to do it, because the space is evolving all the time. Literally, we met 2 weeks ago, we met them again yesterday, and what they could do 2 weeks ago, what they can do today has changed. It's absolutely remarkable. So I'm not sure, I don't think that, well, I am sure that's not going to be, the development's not going to be slowing down. But my biggest, I think we've got to really highlight, well, I would like to highlight, the real threats to this thing as well. It can make you really stupid, stop you thinking, which I really think is, if we're doing proper financial planning, we're listening to people properly, it can make you not listen properly. It can make you rely too much on the text that comes out, can make it really impersonal, I think. So as much as it can help us, I think we've got to realize, for me, it's a tool that can complement what we do and make things more efficient and maybe a bit quicker, but in no ways do I think it's anywhere near replacing, the real value that we can add to clients. Cindy, can I ask you, because you said, I see you have built your own thing. Can I ask you just how are you using AI at the moment?
You can, but it's not really that business related. So I've got some really great ideas now. So I do run my blogs that I write every month through just to fine tune them, but always my ideas. Sometimes I don't have ideas, then I'll just ask chat for ideas around a certain topic. It sometimes comes up with some really good ideas, but I'm always very specific about the feel that I want and the message that I want. So I don't just go write me a blog and then I post the blog. So I haven't really used it much else in a business sense. I've done a gardening GPT because I have an online a whole lot of information that I wanted to refer to. And then also I use it a lot around the information I'm learning on my CEFT course, which is my transition training, which is really helpful. You know, it's like almost like having a coach in a sense.
Yeah.
And I found that exceptionally helpful.
Okay, great.
And often if I want to send an email and I might be a bit irritated, then I will just put that email in and just say, and I never use clients' names or anything like that, even though I've got the paid version. And then I just ask it to soften it, because sometimes I've been changing IT providers and there's been some nasty stuff going on from the old IT provider. So then that actually just allows me to be a little bit more professional than just put my feelings on the paper.
Yeah. Anyone else want to share how they're using it?
To say something, Cindy, I know you said the paid version. So remember, the paid version, just you can opt out of the training, allowing your data to be used for training. Remember, your data is still stored for 30 days in America. So that's where the POPI issue comes in. So even if you're on the paid version, your data could still be a breach of POPI. It's just that you can opt out of the training of the tool. So I just want to make that differentiation.
Yeah,
so
I have
people
done
understand
that.
it. Cool.
Cool.
Ben, have you looked at Grok?
I haven't. The thing is that so I mean, as a business, we've looked at Gemini, we have looked at all of them. And the thing is, like, each week, someone will, Grok will come out and be like, oh, this will be better than GPT. And then another week later, Gemini, and then it goes back to GPT, and it just, they keep changing weekly. So we just made a business decision to stick to GPT. We got the Teams version because it kind of locks in the data then of our business into the team. And so for that reason, we're using GPT, although we do have access to the other tools, but primarily we're using Chatgpt.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions, guys?
I'm still a bit confused around the whole POPI UX story and how to. I mean, my understanding is that ChatGPT is a US product. So how do we use it in a safe way that we don't, transgress POPI requirements? And what alternatives are there for us that are maybe more EU based?
Yeah, it is a very difficult question. Francois did put out an article recently about the POPI. Let's just go find it and put it into the chat. So I mean, the thing is, if I upload something and it just says Ben, like, that's fine, because it can't identify that it's me who it is. Like, I mean, it could be any Ben's anyway. But if I'm just saying, for example, a policy schedule, and it's got my name, ID number, it's very identifiable that it's me. So what POPI says is that if data travels outside of South Africa without the client's permission, that's a breach of POPI. So again, you could just change your consent form and then you won't be a breach of POPI because it's in your consent form. So you talk in your consent form, you're asking for a student, you asked a few other things. You could just add another line in there, and that'll save you. But also POPI does talk about if it does go overseas, it needs to be in a jurisdiction where the controls are the same as POPI.
South Africa.
Yeah, sorry, as South Africa, yeah. That it needs to be the same as South Africa. So like the EU is the best place at the moment because they've got those controls. America doesn't have anything. But now also you do start going down this rabbit hole, because now it comes to the question of, like, say, like Microsoft, for example. A lot of our Microsoft accounts are all based on American servers. So now you got your OneDrive and you got everything in there. Is that a breach of POPI? But like now that just also becomes a bit complicated, and so that's another question. But I mean that's also very different because I don't know, we're not well, it's still accessible, I guess, but yeah, it becomes very difficult. We had a look because we tried to then move our servers to the EU, but then it becomes quite a big mission on a Microsoft level, so it's quite difficult to do. So it's impractical as well. So I don't know. There's also then, I don't know how much POPI will be enforced. How far do you go down that road?
Well,
But I would
Ben,
just
so, I
say-
mean, we all know if you've got Facebook on your phone and you're having a discussion with your wife about a holiday or a watch you want or a car, the next morning you wake up and it's all over your Facebook. So, I mean, that's taking private information. So I would imagine that is in breach of the POPI Act. Yet there's absolutely no way that they can control that.
Yeah. So that's why I just said, just to be so, like I said with the policy schedule, I just go and redact everything first. I wouldn't upload client information straight. I think that's that's the most you can do. I mean, there's going to be some things that will be small. Like, I mean, if you're saving stuff on your OneDrive, you're expecting it to be safe. I mean, it's going to be very hard for the POPI to come and crucify you for that. But if you went and uploaded that, policy schedule into Chatgpt, for example, I mean, that's obviously a very blatant disregard for POPI. But also, if your client knew that you were doing that, how would they react? If you knew I had taken your name and ID number and everything and uploaded it into Chatgpt, into the big wide world web, would you be happy? Some people wouldn't mind, some people would. So you've also just got to be careful with that.
It's just
If you're
also,
uploading,
how many scam calls do you guys get a day? Like about insurance or about cell phones or about whatever. Now, I mean, clearly they've got our information from. So does that, Ben, I'm just asking, does that mean that when you sign a contract for something, somewhere in the small print it says that they can sell our information?
Well, this is this is what we're investigating in the rabbit hole that we're busy going down. So I mean that also is a great GPT to create. That's on my list actually to do is terms and conditions, and to check terms and conditions. For example, a lot of people we use WeTransfer to transfer big files to people, right? They made an update about a week ago to say that anything that you upload to WeTransfer becomes theirs. So like if I was sending you a video, like you asked me to design a video for you for your business, if I sent it to you via WeTransfer, they had the commercial right to use it any way that they wanted, however they wanted. They could have taken parts of it. There was a massive uproar about it, so then they changed that. But I mean, what if there was stuff like that? We're just using WeTransfer, we're using uploading stuff. If you upload a PDF to the internet to password protected, for example, where's that information going? There's no control over it. So it's just things like that. You just need to double check. But yeah, Dick, it is a bit of a. I mean, I know that the POPI isn't being enforced as strictly as it is. How far to the nth degree do we go? That's a decision that you can make. But I'm just warning you of there are some things just to be aware of.
Yeah, I'm not saying disregard it at all. I'm saying it is a bit of a rabbit hole. So
yeah.
And Ben, how do you see planners that are using this? I mean, how are you seeing most people use it? Using ChatGPT within a financial planning business to assist them? Is it mainly just note takers and that?
Yeah, so I mean, a big thing is note takers. So I mean, that's obviously using GPT in a way. I mean, you could use like your Fathoms and your AIs and your Saturns, for example. Some people go to. I mean, there's different variations, right? I mean, some people will just they have a note taker app that'll then just go and they've got an automation that'll then put it onto their letterhead, for example, and at the top of the page it just says these were generated by AI, and as soon as the meeting finishes, that gets sent to the client as a notes for their meeting. They don't read through it, they don't check it, and that's their minute. That's the one extreme. The other is that people will sit and go through it and check it and make it more personal. So like that's a big thing. Another nice way that often, especially product providers, will send you things it's every Liberty will send out something that says, to upgrade their life cover to the, version 4 because, version 3 last year had this, and this, and it's always a 30-page document. I mean, you don't want to send that to a client. They're not going to understand it. So again, uploading that into ChatGPT, creating a summary, creating the emails, WhatsApps, and whatever, and within 2 minutes, they sent out a list to all their Liberty clients saying, these are the new upgrades that are there. These are the benefits. Would you like to move forward or not? So again, they're covering themselves because they've informed the clients. Very quickly made a summary of all of that stuff. A few people are trying to work on building out a record of advisors. I think that becomes a bit more tricky because then that means that's a bit more personal. So, but yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways and different where people are using it. I think what would be useful, it's a bit more harder to build, but it's like the replacement record of advice now, like something like that would be very helpful because then you can get very detailed. If you've got all the different product guides to build out I haven't seen one yet, but that's it's on the cards that could be used or useful. Yeah, but emails is obviously very common as well. Sending out emails and all those kind of things. So just one second.
Any other questions, people? Or anyone want to share anything more? Russell, how are you using it?
So quite similar to what like Ben mentioned. So we use, and what Brian's also done before, Brian Nicol, we use Fathom Note Taker to kind of like track all our notes and summaries. It saves so much time. I'll be honest with that. I think any note taker you use, because we've gained value from it in a sense of like we used to type out the summaries or notes to clients and the action points, whereas like Fathom does that automatically, spits out it to us straight after the meeting. We just forward that to the client, and then also the nice thing we've mentioned is like the clients like it. We also make it known to them is that they can go back and watch the recording, or for any meeting notes or points, they can go back and watch that. So they've liked that as well. And then we actually use Fathom and also with ChatGPT to analyze the meeting notes for two things, basically for stresses, particularly like certain terms or phrasal words that the client keeps repeating that we might have missed in the session, that we didn't pick up on, or stresses that they were stressing about. But then also we've asked it to also identify like social media or marketing content that we could write articles about or do videos about in terms of addressing like pain points that clients are feeling. So we've used it in those two ways. And then I would say with ChatGPT, what we've done is that, so we've also got the paid version. It definitely is like worth your money if for any of those that don't have the paid version. We started before they started creating agents. And as mentioned in the chat, I would upload like my SOP, my advice process. I also don't know where, but I found a prompt somewhere online that actually said like that you would enter this into ChatGPT so that it can ask more deep, meaningful questions about the subject that you want to inquire about, so that it can learn as much as possible to give you more accurate answers. And then, like Ben mentioned earlier, we just try and feed without obviously including like the client's personal information. We try and feed most of our results or feedback to ChatGPT and the agents quite regularly, if there's been any major progress, so that I can keep on learning. So like I mentioned earlier, that's also what I picked up in a few like videos I've watched, is to treat it basically like a human, a new like associate that you hired, and you now trying to train them up in your practice to fulfill whatever role you want to create them for, whether it's marketing, an associate advisor, a paraplanner, a copywriter, and then feed as much as you can, because you are teaching it then of like how to address topics or your questions or answer you back in like your philosophy or your terms and all that as well. So that's very important. I think a lot of us, we just prompted, we make the mistake, even we did that. When ChatGPT came out, we just made like one prompt and then we left it at that. We didn't continuously like feed it. So I found that adding more results of feedback, it makes a huge difference. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Russell. Anyone else? Ben, thank you so much. We're going to finish a little early, which is cool. I really appreciate it. Please just thank Francois as well. I'm assuming you have his permission to share your IP with us. Really do appreciate it. It's really what this group is about. You know, about sharing and not protecting everything that we have. It's for the greater good. So thanks very much for your time and for preparing and for sharing this with us. Guys, yeah, I think that's it. We'll see you. I'll share the recording in the WhatsApp group, and we'll see you next month. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks,
bye.
guys.
Thanks, Ben.
Cheers, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
Ben.
much.
Thanks, guys. Bye.